Now this is just as a new kind of a real popular author by the name of Bronson Alcott came up with a book on child rearing that says basically we no longer believe in infant depravity. What's infant depravity? That a kid is born evil and they have to learn discipline and how to be good. Now Bronson Alcott says, no man, all you got to do is love your kids, man. They're a blank slate and they're just going to love and be awesome to the world. And once again, the role of mothers is very important because they're preparers of the future for the republic. Now, guys, there's a problem, though, if you make your whole life about your kids. What's that?
They grow up.
Yeah, they grow up and they leave.
Hey!
Well, what's a woman supposed to do then? Aha! I answer. They can join voluntary social organizations for social reform. Use their purifying talents to improve a chaotic and evil world. They join things like anti-alcoholism groups, Sunday schools, etc. Using their talents for purification to improve a chaotic and immoral society. They also form missionary societies. We ready? Okay, so we talked about the poory poors. We talked about the richy riches. Now who are we going to talk about? The rising middle class. Guys, with this expansion of industry here in America, you have a new class of managers, clerks, and teachers. Oh, and by the way, guys, it was okay for women to work as teachers, even though men were the majority. Most of these guys were relatively young. And guys, who does the middle class try to be like now? Do they try to be like their bosses, or do they try to be like the poor?
Boss.
They try to be like the bosses. Okay? If the boss has a Porsche, I'm going to get a BMW. Only problem is, though, the boss makes a heck of a lot more money than you do. So that BMW is actually more expensive to you.
Hey!
They married later, they had fewer children, they lived in their own little gated communities. Well, not gated, but they lived in their own communities. Over by my house, the tornado struck this one very upper middle class neighborhood. Totally devastated this one gated community. Ripping the house off of one of the houses, damaging terribly a lot of the other ones. What's funny about this gated community, though, I love it, is they actually had a guard, an entry place where there's a little building for a guard to be in there. Nobody would ever manned it, and the gate to it was always open. But it was there, which made people feel important. They, of course, congregated in their own voluntary associations, just like their bosses may be in the opera club, may belong to Dallas Country Club. By the way, Dallas Country Club is incredibly elite. They would have their own. They formed like the Odd Fellows, which were kind of a Masonic order that's still around, International Order of Odd Fellows, as well as the Masons. Basically, these guys reinforce traditional values. And like I told you, with the rich, money loves. Why does money like talking to other money? Yeah, to make more money. I mean, simple thing. Well, guys, big money likes talking to big money, and little money likes talking to little money. She's an assistant manager at Denny's. She's an assistant manager at an egg farm, a chicken farm. And so basically you say, hey, let's see if you can give me a discount on your eggs. You're going to be selling more eggs, which your boss is going to like. Meanwhile, we'll make a breakfast. We'll make a Grand Slam special, which is going to make Denny's more money. So both of us, we're going to work together to help out each other. Everybody got it? Now talking about South, yeah? The new cotton empire in the South. All right, thanks to industrialization and our good friend Eli Whitney, we have a new birth for the slavery system. Slavery had been dying out. In 1782, Virginia made it legal to free slaves. Many masters had done so. In 1784, Thomas Jefferson proposed making it illegal for slavery to spread to any of the nation's territories. Guys, if this had happened, maybe we could have avoided that whole thing called the Civil War. It didn't pass. It missed by just a few votes. You had some Southern leaders that contemplated abolishing slavery and transporting the newly freed men back to Africa. However, the prized cash crop of cotton prevented this, especially as the South begins to spread out to new lands to raise cotton. Once again, why did the South use slaves? Labor. You ready? Now, if you were a plantation owner, did y'all get that? If you were a plantation owner, you could achieve impressive profits between 8 to 10%. Now, what if you're outside of the cotton growing region? Well, then you made a lot of money in selling slaves, the interstate slave trade. I mean, a healthy male in his mid-20s might sell for $1,800. A skilled craftsman, $2,500. Now, a younger or older man, or those in less than perfect health, would be sold for less. But even a male too young to work in the fields might fetch between $250 to $500. If it was a woman skilled at something like weaving, they might actually sell for more than a male craftsman. Now, once again, why would a woman sell for more than a man? Yeah, she can have kids. And if you're a particularly ravishing beauty, they might fetch as much as $5,000 at auction. And they might become the master's mistress. Which was, some wives saw it as less degrading if it was going on there than somebody that was their own social class. Kind of like some wives, if their husband is a caddy that plays the field, if it's like somebody that's at a lower socioeconomic level, it's kind of considered okay. Like if they're poor or if they're lower middle class. But if it's someone of the same socioeconomic level, that's not okay. Well, no affairs are okay, but I'm just telling you how society tries to justify it. Now, basically, remember, slaves are a major capital investment, and the cotton economy not only demanded slaves, but large gangs of workers. Y'all ready? Now, in addition to field labor, slave occupations also include service at home and non-field work. Indeed, from 1797 to 1865, only 81% of the male and 69% of the female slaves were field hands, with 2% of the men and 17% of the slave women being house slaves. 14% of slave women sewed, weaved, processed food for all the others on the plantation. And 17% of slave men drove wagons, piloted riverboats, herded cattle. Now guys, this is kind of a telling deal here, and that you think they would make more money by having all their slaves work out in the fields, but the South isn't getting a lot of immigrants. Not a lot of immigrants are wanting to go to a slave society. even though there was some. Especially with a brand new land called Texas. Ready?